To you and yours. Welcome to Channel Africa's African Diaries. It is the first hour of the show, and we're going to be talking about body mass index. Perhaps you've gone down a rabbit hole like Shayla. Okay, you went onto the internet and you feasted and you fested and you consumed all the data. But at the end of the day, you want to know, how does this affect you? Firstly, as a woman. Secondly, as a woman who has prospects to give birth, perhaps through the C-section method, And so those are the conversations that come your way in just a short bit. For now, let's pay some bills. When we get back, we talk to Dr Phasha.
Ritmos e Cultura, com Jacob Tivani.
Fiéis ouvintes do Ritmos e Cultura, hoje em linha com uma das grandezas da música moçambicana, porque não? Ele que é um dos kings da marrabenta, Mother Muda in the building.
É um prazer enorme estar a fazer parte deste programa. Deixe-me só saudar. Boa tarde a todos os ouvintes que me ouvem neste preciso momento. Meu nome é Mother Muda, de Alau Fanelo Estarapo, Gás de Água da Canhela é Mabiscato. Eu vou saudar de uma maneira diferente. Ah, titabuia, mwanango, tiduma tifika guiane. Ah, titabuia, mwanango, tiduma tifika guiane. Ani motive lo ababa yena otiva mina haikonama. Ani motive lo anona yena otiva wahimbo watwa. Cá estou eu, irmão, para conversarmos, para falarmos um pouco de tudo. Estou aqui, estou aberto. Eu estou muito feliz porque é a primeira vez que eu falo nesta rádio, falo para os ouvintes, então estou muito feliz.
Ritmos e Cultura, com Jacob Tivani. Todos os domingos, das 20 às 21 horas.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Turn the page. It's African Diaries on Channel Africa.
It is 20 minutes to 11 p.m. Central Africa time. Let's get into our very first conversation, okay? Self-love isn't just about confidence. It's also about caring for our bodies and making informed choices about our health. Now, last week, we observed World Obesity Day, shining the spotlight on one of the fastest growing health challenges of our time. Many people know obesity increases the risk of diabetes and heart disease, but fewer people realize how it can actually affect pregnancy, childbirth, surgery, and even long-term health of a baby. Now, if you're sitting there, you're saying, Shayla, body weight isn't a choice sometimes. You're predisposed to certain contexts. And listen, that's not the argument today. Today, we want to find out how to best serve our bodies. And we're going to be doing this with Dr Phasha, who is an obstetrician as well as a gynecologist based in Johannesburg, South Africa, joining us in the studio. Ma'am, you came back.
Yes, I did.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. And you, Dumelang to the listeners.
Awesome. I'm fantastic. I want us to give leeway to definitions, right? Because I think that, you see, BMI, when you go on the internet and you type BMI, there's more conspiracy than there is fact, right? So let's start off by giving context to what body mass index scales.
Okay. So body mass index is a way, or it's a tool, a screening tool that we use to assess your weight for height, whether it's normal, underweight, obese, or overweight, right? It's a screening tool. It's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
It was designed and intended for a European man. So its limitations are that it doesn't look at ethnicity. It doesn't look at gender. It doesn't take into consideration fat versus muscle. Right? So then it just looks at weight for height. So then you'll find very muscular people being wrongly classified as overweight or obese. Right? So do we have another tool at this point? No, we don't. So we work with what we have. Okay. And once we say your BMI puts you as obese, which is above BMI above 30, that does not mean you've got disease. It makes us to say, let us look if there is disease.
Understandable. So how do we scale it for the African? I mean, we're saying that this is a European machine, essentially designed to scale a European man. What are some of the measures that doctors would use to, balance out the scale for the African?
Okay, so you still use a BMI
Yeah.
calculator, but you keep in context the subjects that you're dealing with. What we also find helps is measuring the mid-arm circumference together with using a BMI to risk stratify a person.
Yeah.
We also measure the abdominal girth. Right? To remember that we also built differently. Some people are apple-shaped, some people are hourglass-shaped, and that also, the different shapes have got different risk factors, right?
Yeah.
For instance, apple-shaped core would struggle with fertility, for instance, unlike the hourglass-shaped BMI or hourglass-shaped torso.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. That is so interesting. Listen, I'm getting excited. You've just joined us. We're currently talking to Dr. Phasha, who joins us, an obstetrician as well as a gynecologist, and we're looking at the effects, or essentially this BMI scale, and how this can further assist us in better taking care of our bodies. If you have questions that you want to send through, perhaps you're not even female, you're saying, Shayla, I'm not going to give birth anytime soon. Dr. Phasha is here to dispel any myths as well. Find us on WhatsApp +278 3288 6684. You said something so interesting, right? So we're going to shift the conversation with intentionality to women, right? And you spoke about different shapes. So there's an apple, there's a pear, maybe there's ice cream cone. There's a lot happening with body shapes, right? Walk us through the different, I want to say, struggle points that women would have based on their body shape.
Okay. So with the apple-shaped core, we say there's increase in truncal adiposity, right, in the trunk. And we know that fat or adipose tissue works as a substrate for you creating hormones, right? It works like a fertilizer, right?
Yeah.
To make your androgens, then to make your testosterone, to make your estrogen. So in the presence of excess fat, a woman might, around the truncal area, may find themselves making a whole lot of testosterone than what is an average woman would need. And now if you're having excess testosterone, it influences ovulation and your menstrual cycle, impacting your fertility ability.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That is not to say if you've got truncal obesity, you cannot fall pregnant. But we are saying these are some of the things that we look at when women are saying, I'm struggling to conceive.
So we've talked about the apple shape, just in context of you being an obstetrician, a gynecologist. How many body shapes do we have?
I think the major ones is this, we speak of pear-shaped, hourglass, and apple-shaped.
Okay. All
Right?
Yeah.
We find that a lot of African women, hourglass shaped, fertility is not an issue because the fat is not in the trunk so much, but rather distributed in the hips and the bums.
Yes. So that would apply for those who have hourglass and the pear.
Yes.
Right? Is it true that you do need fat around your hips for safer birth? If you are to give natural birth, right? Is it true that the wider your hips are, the easier it is for you to push the baby out?
Okay, so you are referring to pelvimetry, where we're looking at the actual pelvis to assess the ability. There's different types of pelvic shapes. Without going into the gory detail, the gynecoid shape is the one that's more favorable for childbirth. But having said that, we don't look at a woman and say, ooh, therefore you will not be able to push. Every woman and their fetus needs to be given a trial of labor So we look into during labor to say, yes, we are headed the right way, or we may need a Caesar. But what we don't do is look at a woman in the rooms and say, ooh, your pelvis, you're not going to be able to push. That's not correct.
Stretching back to the BMI, you spoke of a BMI higher than 30, not meaning that you have obesity per se. You don't have the disease, but there's a level of predispositioning.
Okay, so BMI of 30 does signal you are obese. But does it signal that there is all sorts of diseases associated with obesity? No. It just tells me that this patient or this person is obese, then I need to look for thyroid disorder. I need to look for PCOS. I need to look at diabetes. I need to look for cardiovascular disease.
Yeah. And this would be within the same breath as somebody who has muscle that's mistaken for fat.
Yes.
So you can be
muscular.
Yes, and still be obese?
You wouldn't necessarily hit obesity, but you might be put as wrongly classified as overweight, but not necessarily obese because you're muscular.
Sure. When we do get back, I want us to talk about ultrasounds, challenges, and essentially speak to how we can best develop our bodies.
Okay.
But I think the primary focus isn't necessarily to spotlight BMI and say, if yours is over 30, I think ours is to create an understanding and an awareness so that when you are consuming food, when you are working out, when you are waking up, the amount of sleep you're taking in is
100%.
all towards a healthier life.
100%.
The voice there of Dr. Phasha joining us this evening. If you want to send through your questions, do find us on WhatsApp, +278 288 6684.
Africa is changing, and the world is paying attention. This March, Channel Africa invites you to be part of a new conversation. Africa Matters, a platform where experts, policymakers, and thought leaders come together to unpack the big issues of our time: technology, politics, economics, climate change, and the future of our people. This is where ideas meet action, where change becomes opportunity, where Africa's voice takes its rightful place on the global stage. In March 2026, Channel Africa hosts Africa Climate Change Recovery Summit. Join the dialogue. Be part of the movement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Be inspired. Stay informed. Channel Africa, the beauty of life. Now available anytime, anywhere with our new app. Hi there. Do you want to elevate your business and give it a voice in South Africa and Africa as a whole? Well, in that case, let Channel Africa make this a possibility. Channel Africa is willing to advertise your business for as little as 30,000 rands or $1,719.18. To get access to these great rates, send all requests to mokoenata@SABC. That's MOKOENATA@SABC. Channel Africa, the African perspective. African Diaries, weekdays, 10 till midnight.
9 minutes before 11 p.m. Central Africa time. We are still in conversation with obstetrician as well as gynecologist Dr. Phasha joining us this evening. And we're looking at the scale. Yes, ladies, we are getting onto the scale, but not for the purposes of weight alone. We're looking at the body mass index and how this affects us during pregnancy. I ended off by saying that we are going to be looking at ultrasounds and the like, right? The process of being pregnant, going through your 3 trimesters and the like. I want to understand what that life looks like for somebody who has a BMI that's over 30.
Okay. So ultrasound is a modality that we use to image that fetus, right? And we use ultrasound waves that permeate through the skin and through the many layers. So the thicker the layers, the more difficult it is to get to the target organ, which is the fetus, often making it difficult to study the fetus in detail. Part of our job as obstetricians in your pregnancy journey is to determine if there is possibility that this baby is born with some deformities or structural abnormality. So an ultrasound is our biggest modality of imaging in obstetrics, right? In the past, they used many years, donker years ago, before my time, they used to use x-rays to look at babies, right? Now we've moved on to ultrasound, which your obstetrician will do at frequently in your visits, right? So that thick adipose tissue has its own limitation, meaning I cannot get to study the fetus, the baby, thoroughly, right? And also, and perhaps I'm jumping the gun here, when we look at in the labor ward, there's a machine that we look at called the cardiotocogram, which we attach the moms to monitor how the baby's coping with the labor.
Yeah.
Right? I always say labor is like Comrades Marathon, or pregnancy is like Comrades Marathon. It is that laborious to the fetus as well. And the only way the fetus can communicate to me their well-being is through this device called the cardiotocogram. The cardiotocogram is attached to the mom's belly, and it picks up the fetal heart rate pattern. So if there is thick adipose tissue, 5 centimeter thickness, then it means I can't pick up the baby's heart rate pattern effectively, and I can't monitor, so I can't communicate with the baby. The baby can't tell me when they are in dire trouble.
Yeah.
So it also makes monitoring in the labor difficult.
How do we solve for eggs?
How do we solve for eggs?
Yeah.
Okay, we look at the different things that causes us to have high BMI.
Yeah.
Right? And we address each and every single thing. There's genetic predisposition. We're not going to shy away from that. There's some people who are more prone to high BMI than others, just because of the family genes that they come from.
Yeah.
It's also the family pot. What's on our plate, right? And I always say, remember, you are raised to prepare your food in this way. It might not be necessarily the right way. It was what our grandmothers did with what the resources that they had.
Yeah.
As Africans, we come from high calorie meals. We prepare high calorie white refined starch, your white rice, your maize meal. Those are high calorie food. So as we grow and we learn about various food products or various food groups, and we try and make our plate be full with vegetables and protein and less carbohydrates or less refined carbs. Sure. Then we talk about exercising. Our sedentary lifestyle is not helping us at all. Hey, Uber Eats is not helping us. Hey, going to Pick and Pay and picking up your groceries. Now you have this, Checker 60 and all of these things are not helping us. We used to get our daily steps without effort. Now, if we're not intentional about working out, about meeting your 10,000 steps, you're finding that you're not meeting that daily exercise requirement that's essential.
Yeah. I think what's even more sad is when you are intentional, you can still miss the mark.
Yes.
Because of the kind of work you do, the distance between work and where you live, the fact that you are always in a car.
Yeah.
That's how you move, And so I hear that we cannot use the ways of old, which is what our grandparents would use. But they were always on the move.
Yes.
So they can burn those calories, right?
Yes.
So we're just storing them up. Now my question is for somebody who's just discovered they're pregnant. They're perhaps still in their first trimester and they're saying, I want a healthier life for both baby and I. What do I do now?
We definitely can do something. So it's not like it's a write-off. So we say in your pregnancy, we want you to you're going to gain weight regardless, right, with pregnancy. So we want you to gain not more than 12 kilograms in all the trimesters. So be mindful. If you weren't exercising before pregnancy, you can start, but you don't start by overexerting yourself. Mild, moderate exercises, 5-kilometer walks, swimming helps, right? And I always refer my patients with a high BMI to see a dietitian. We look down on that profession or that discipline, but it helps so much because every time the attitude that I would get from a patient is that, what are they going to teach me about food? But we do need to learn about various food groups, and we do need to learn about how to prepare our food so that we can get the maximum out of our food.
Sure. I think this is going to serve as a parting shot, Doctor, for he, she, they listening, who is not necessarily the individual that will fall pregnant, but the person who's going to be with this person throughout the process. Because it's not just mommy's not working out. It's the fact that daddy brings home other takeout foods every hour of the day, attending to the cravings. Because there are different things that a mommy bear will go through. What's your counsel to them?
So when we address BMI, we address the family pot and we address the family grocery cart, right? And it becomes an opportunity for us to also teach dads how to eat and how to prepare food and how to snack, because it also has an impact on their health and well-being, right? So the mom brings knowledge to us about what's happening to the family, but we address, by the end of the pregnancy journey, we have addressed the children's lunchbox. We've addressed the husband's lifestyle and eating and exercise. We are looking and helping mom and the developing baby. But before I go, I just want to sneak in this. We now know that adult diabetes, type 2 diabetes, can start in utero. So if you're diabetic as an adult, type 2, you were predisposed to high sugars in your mommy's tummy. So that is why we hit hard when we diagnose pregnancy-related diabetes, so that we prevent this baby to being diabetic as an adult.
This calls for another conversation. Dr. Phasha joining us this evening, and we were addressing the realities of your body mass index and how this affects pregnancy. And what I love is that it's not just about the lady who's pregnant. It's about dad. It's about the children. It's about everyone. The entire household is taken into account. It is top of the new hour. If you've just joined us, hello.
Conversations that touch the heart and